happy International Women's Day to every woman out there in the world. Of course, happy International Women's Day to women that are doing their best to make sure that their voices are heard, women that are breaking the stereotype, women that are breaking the bias, women that are speaking out for different causes in society. Many thanks for joining us again on the show this morning. Of course, it's Rise and Shine Daily, and we're super happy to have you join us this morning. My name is Janice Coble. Welcome.
Good morning, Africa. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Akwa Ibom State. My name is Uyai Anekan, and it's a delight today to be a woman doing this on Rise and Shine with you on the other side. Of course, I will not forget to remind you to be a part of the community. So like, share, comment across all our social media platforms, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. Of course, we would have our phone lines displayed on the screen today. You would do well to call us, also send us WhatsApp and text messages. Of course, it's the International Women's Day, and we'll be giving some room for women to be celebrated. And let's just talk about some issues pertaining to women. Of course, welcome. It's a good day to be alive. And Janice, I think it's a good day to be a woman.
Of course, yes, it's a good day to be a woman. I'm super delighted because we are women on set this morning.
And we are twinning for the women.
Oh yeah, we're twinning. Yes, it's a coincidence though. I don't know what's wrong with Yayo. Yeah, I need to check it properly.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, good to be here on set again. Super delighted. This is more like a special edition of Rise and Shine Daily, of course, because we are going to be talking about women much later in the course of the show. But that's not also saying that we'll not talk about things happening in the country. Matters arising actually. But it's a good day to be a woman actually. So just forgive us, yeah, if we do too much of the women thingy, okay? But welcome again to the show, of course, Wednesday edition of Rise and Shine. But we still have so much happening in the country. We still have elections coming up on Saturday. I know that a lot of preparation is happening towards that regard everywhere in the country. I think the 30, not the 36, there are some states, that had off-season elections that won't be actually participating in this particular elections. But we have a lot happening in terms of preparation. Different people asking INEC, are you actually ready for the gubernatorial elections? Are the beavers ready? Will we have the same discrepancies that we associated, with the presidential elections? Will we have the same mistakes happen? I think INEC too, should be, as a matter of urgency, be able to go back to the drawing board and try to review. I think I saw on Newsbeat the other day where it was said that INEC sacked a particular rec because, of course, they had said that anybody that is found guilty in terms of election malpractices now will be dismissed. And we saw that happen, that INEC actually dismissed one of its rec, I think in the northern states in Nigeria, one of the northern states in the country. So beyond just dismissing people, is the umpire, is the electoral body ready for the 2023 elections, which is on March 11 for gubernatorial elections now? Or we are still going to have that excess, rigging of elections? We're still going to have that, how do you put it now, voter suppression? Are we going to also have massive voter apathy? I think that's another angle. A lot of people have said, look, our votes do not count. At the end of the day, INEC gives it to whoever they choose to, or the leading party, the ruling party will just, decide to give it to their candidate. Do we have a situation where Nigerians are going to come out in their numbers, to go vote for candidates that will represent them, as governors and State House of Assembly members?
Well, that's a lot of hope to have at this time in INEC, especially looking at all of the consequences of the just concluded February 25th election. But the most we can do is just keep our fingers crossed and continue to prepare ourselves as citizens and the electorates to be out there on Saturday to vote for, the state governors and the state houses of assembly members. It's important for you to go out there and vote and just represent, what you believe, the ideologies you believe. At the end of the day, these are the people that will be managing the helms of affairs in your state, and it will definitely affect you to a very large extent. How will you be able to do business? How will healthcare be in your state and all the likes? You need to go beyond the sentiment of, oh, INEC is not reliable, because I think, like something Tony likes to say, we cannot keep saying our votes do not count. When we come out en masse and vote, it is, it's hard to rig such elections, because I think in some of the conversations that we are even having of the 25th of February election is the fact that Nigerians came out and voted. Now, some of the presidential candidates that are going to court can go to court because they know they had a large number of people coming in their support.
Like there's substance for them
there
to
is
use
substance,
to
yeah,
challenge the results.
Exactly. So if you just stay at home and say our vote will not count, eventually, if your candidates were even to win or be able to have something substantive to go to the courts with, they won't be able to do that because you didn't come out. So yes, it is true that your votes are counting. Let's hope that INEC has fixed the issues that they have, not also forgetting the issue they raised about the courts giving room for PDP and LP to check the election material,
machine, yes.
The Beavers material machine rather. So that also, we hope it's concluded before Thursday. That's tomorrow now, so that a lot of things are taken care of. Like we said yesterday, it should be a matter of technology where all of those information are backed up, and then the machine can be used again. You can't just tell us it's going to be wiped and it's going to be wiped. But there's a lot of expectation and anticipation towards Saturday. We do hope that it is better than the February 25th election.
And security as well is also great, because we do not want even the security operatives. We saw that happen, during the presidential election. Security operatives are baiting crime. We don't want to see that happen. If Nigerians are coming out en masse, then the security operatives should be in a position where they are protecting and making sure that they help to keep peace and orderliness during the elections as well. But right about now, let's look at some major stories making the rounds in the country. Of course, we know that as a breakout of the presidential elections that happened on the 25th of February, we've seen a lot of new faces in the 10th Assembly. Of course, I know that at this point, President-elect Bola Asiwaju Tinubu will be having like new people, in the cabinet and all of that to work with, and also make legislations as well. So yesterday we saw the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, issue certificates of return to winners of the February 25, 2023 senatorial elections in Nigeria. Of course, the chairman of INEC, Mahmood Yakubu, made the presentation at the National Collation Center, the International Conference Center now in Abuja. Yakubu had on Saturday said winners were declared for 423 legislative seats, indicating that supplementary elections would be conducted in 46 other constituencies. Now, the elected legislatures include 98 out of 109 senates and 325 out of 360 House of Representatives seats. 7 parties won in the Senate. So yeah, this has not been the case all this while.
It hasn't.
So it's a different
new
feeling.
wave.
Yes, it's a new wave. And now, while 8 parties won House of Representative seats, oh, fantastic. We have House of Representatives elect are expected, to receive theirs yesterday at the same venue. Of course, in terms of party representation now for the 10th Assembly, the INEC chief said APC won 57 Senate seats. The PDP won 29, Labour Party won 6, SDP 2, NMPP 2, YPP 1, and APGA 1. Now, for the lower chamber, we have the electoral chair say that the APC has 162 seats, PDP 102, LP 34, NMPP 18, APGA 4, ADC, 2, SDP 2, and YPP. So there's a good representation of major parties and even parties we didn't see coming. Okay, for Labour Party would say that yes, we saw it coming. Even if Peter Obi did not win, a lot of people rode on the wings and the popularity of Peter Obi to win different seats now at the Senate and House of Representatives. So maybe some Nigerians will say that we saw that coming for the Labour Party. But a party like YPP, a party like ADC winning 2-1 and all of that, we didn't see that coming at all. But it's a good thing to see that there's quite a beautiful representation, you know, across board and across these political parties.
There's actually a lot of room for growth in our political sphere as we go. The democracy is taking on another face and another form, because we are having just beyond APC and PDP being able to play at the National Assembly. We're going to have voices representing different ideologies at this point, because I mean, these other parties are going to try to reflect their party ideologies for their people. So we believe that we're looking forward to a National Assembly that, you know, will be highly intelligent and diversified at this time. The conversations will begin to be different. It's not just, you know, PDP or APC trying to, you know, place a hold on everything for themselves. There's going to be that delegation to other parties. And it also will begin to affect the conversation for the next round of elections. Because if we can see that the likes of, you know, Labour Party, NNPP, you know, had strong representations at this time in, you know, the National Assembly, it means when we are going for the next round of elections, the conversations of lack of structure for these upcoming parties will not really hold ground, because by then, depending on how these new members, you know, do in the House, it will now affect the faith that, you know, the electorates can now have in them to push more people under their parties into the House. So I think this is really beautiful at this time. It's a fair competition for policymakers in the nation.
Now, aside from even that representation crossing, you know, going across party lines, you know, different party lines now, what this does, it brings a lot of competitiveness even in the Senate and the House of Representatives. So you would not have, you know, the president have his way in terms of different policies, you know, more like a lot of conversations and arguments has been that, you know, the House of Representatives or even the Senate has been like rubber stamps, you know, or toothless bulldogs where they back and they do not bite. So if the president gives push or gives assent to a particular bill or pushes a bill to the House of Reps or the Senate now, you know, it doesn't pass through that serious scrutiny. And even if it does, at the end of the day, the president has his ways. So what this does is we have different political parties in the different, you know, National Assembly houses now. So it's going to be very competitive. The president also. But again, some people will argue that the leading party, which is the ruling party now, the APC, have stronger or more number of members in the different houses. But we are also going to be seeing like more like a collaborations with, you know, parties that have 1, 2, 4 members, you know, come together to do like a fight back, you know, to bring in the pressure that is supposed to be needed, you know, in terms of making some of these policies. Okay, so we are not criticism now, that's the word, criticism, and being watchdogs, you know, to what the president is going to be doing moving forward. So that's what it does. So we are away, gradually away now from the whole, okay, so the president says he wants to borrow 500 billion or 500 trillion naira, and then the House of Reps or the Senate was like, okay, so you cannot borrow this much, and at the end of the day, they're putting their yes to it, they're giving their no to it. Okay, Mr. President, you can actually borrow. So when we have a house that have different political parties represented properly, we have a situation where they begin to form a watchdog to the ruling party, and it gives us a balance, kinda, you know, in terms of policy creation and policy making.
That's really expected at this time. And even when you look at the numerical strength of, you know, some of the parties involved, we know that it is leading APC, PDP, and then all the others follow. But like you said, there's going to be that that push for balancing out policies, especially if the new people that are elected. And I think another good part is the fact that we are going to be seeing a lot of fresh faces in the House. Unlike people who've done that, you know, those seats for 20, 25 years.
Oh, you are talking about Ahmed Lawan, the current Senate president.
You know,
now.
a lot of them
this is a sixth term.
Yes,
this is
you know,
a sixth
doing
term.
it over and over again. Now, this new flush of people coming in. It's going to give a fresh breath, you know, to the National Assembly. And now our hope is that these new people that have been elected into the office, they have the intelligence, they have the mental stamina, and they have the willfulness to work.
Funny enough, most of them are young people.
Yes.
So it's more like we're beginning to phase off, you know, the old sets and bring in new people that are even younger, younger at heart, and even younger in terms of age.
And we do hope that these younger people can actually interpret the policies of our nation. You know, it's a time for them to be painstaking. Like I said earlier, this is a representation of what we hope to come. They are just the launchers. However they do, good or bad, is going to be a determinant factor for a lot of things. Exactly. So we do hope that this new crop of people will put down their necks and actually work. It's not a time to come and be, oh, we are now NAS members, let's live up the, you know, eat up the money that's available and all of those things. It's public service. And, you know, just like you said earlier, most of them, for the likes of Labour Party, a lot of them rode on the popularity and the influence of the Obidati movement. So it's important that, you know, they go there and let people know that, okay, it was worth believing in this movement. Because some of these arguments have started to rise. People are saying, hey, let's be sure of one thing, that the fact that they were, let's just use Labour Party for instance, the fact that they were elected under the Labour Party does not mean that they're good politicians.
Exactly.
Let's be clear that they're also
very
bad
serious
politicians.
argument. Yes.
They are bad politicians under the Labour Party also. Because Peter Obi, as the person at the helm of affairs, has some credibility to him, doesn't mean that everyone who lined up behind him has credibility.
I think Fayose was one of those that were speaking about that yesterday when he was trying to undermine the capacity of Rhodes now, the Labour Party gubernatorial candidate for Lagos. But that's a different story altogether. But I just needed to bring that in. There's just this story. There's just this brewing hate right now in Lagos State in terms of, oh, he's not from Lagos, he's an Igbo person, and the whole, oh, Igbo shouldn't do business in Lagos anymore just because they voted, you know, for the Labour Party. Doesn't really make sense at this point.
It doesn't make sense. Yes. Whose country is it?
Exactly.
It's a land for everybody. And I keep saying we are pushing too many sentiments in our politics. We keep on crying religion, ethnicity, and all of those things. Let the land be free for all. I mean, everyone is bringing together the gross domestic product for Lagos State and making it a beehive. It's a city for all, and a city for none at the end of the day.
Yeah, but I just needed to buttress the fact that it's not because Peter Obi rode, you know, had this kind of street popularity. A lot of people, you know, liked him for who he was and the kind of person he stands for, which means that automatically anybody that flies the flag of the Labour Party is credible, you know. But a lot of people rode on the back of Peter Obi and his popularity to gain entrance and win tickets and win seats, you know, in different political positions now.
We really do hope that they can make his name proud, because it's more like a Peter Obi, Obidati movement kind of air. Let's hope that, you know, once they get in there, they can make us proud. And like you said, young people, make sure you're there and making room for the next set of people to be elected. I mean, the elections is a cycle. It's going to come again. Can we trust young people?
But another challenge I actually have with people in leadership or political offices is the fact that you go there once, you do well, you go a second term, maybe you do well or maybe you do not do well, but you keep wanting to go and go and go. I have somebody in my state, Cross River State, that stayed in the reps for 24 years. And I'm wondering, is that a retirement home?
You
what
know,
exactly are you doing there that other people cannot do?
You know, we've asked that question before, where is there no stipulated time that someone can serve in these national assemblies? Because it just seems, it feels like there's no constitution that checks that. That's why those people just, you know, keep repeating.
And then every time the camera comes to you, you're not pushing any legislation, you're sleeping. You're sleeping.
So we are looking at, do Nigerians now want tenures to be introduced to the National Assembly? Because so far so good, there are no tenures. So people just keep going and keep going.
No, the point is, we know there are no tenures. There are no tenures. But come on, you have done 6 years or 8 years. You want to do 12 years. You want to do 16 years, 20 years, 24 years. What exactly are you sitting down there to do?
Don't you think that is a problem of the electorate?
And then when the camera comes to you, you're sleeping.
don't you think it's a
during
problem of the
plenary?
electorate? Because
Come on.
these people keep going back to be elected, and the people in their senatorial district always elect them back to those positions.
Oh, because they have some group of young boys that they get to do attended Yanso and all of that. You know?
There's a lot of truth to that, but we just look at it. If you have someone representing your senatorial district in the National Assembly, and you keep seeing that these people are not doing anything worthy of note, and the next time they come again to ask for you to re-elect them into those offices, pick the next person.
Now, yeah, let me bust your bubble. The same person that stayed in the House of Reps for 24 years, even having some incapacitation, still wanted to go back this time around. But thank God, you retired him. Yeah. So he's at home now.
Yeah, it's good. We're in a brand new day in the politics of Nigeria. Like we said, it's newnigeria.com. A lot of things are changing. Forcefully, the third wave and the fourth wave that came has retired a lot of people.
Of course, yes.
And then we are even going to be seeing a fresh push for the seat of the Senate president at this time. It's going to be fresh sets of guys all together trying to...
The tussle has actually started.
Yeah, it has actually started.
We have the likes of Ahmed Lawan, who is still jostling for it. We have Gospel Akpabio at the other end. Of course, David Umahi is somewhere. And what's his name now? The Edo State guy...
yes, there's Ojuzo Kalu
and Oshomole. Yes, Oshomole now.
Oh, that's such a tight contest, actually.
But again, another thing we should also be looking at, obviously, more like it's going to be zoned. If the leading party, the ruling party now feels that, okay, so we have, marginalized the Southeast, so why don't we push the Senate to the Southeast? But again, it's going to be a tight one. We have the APC having a Muslim ticket. Okay, and then we also have even the party, the National Party chairman, Senator Abdullahi now being a Muslim. So definitely whatever it is they're going to be doing in terms of the third man in the hierarchy has to be somebody that is a Christian. And maybe we don't know where exactly they're going to be zoning it to, maybe South or even Southeast. But if it's thrown open, for everybody to jostle for it, then it's going to be really, very tight one.
It's going to be a tight one. But those concerns that you're raising are really technical ones at this time, because we do not want to topple the country in any direction that is dicey. Everything's already tense. We need to be more careful. We've seen that the Muslim ticket has flown and become the president-elect, ticket at this time. So we need to be careful with all the other seats. And we do hope that the APC has enough intelligence to balance out everything.
Something that really plagued this particular administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is the fact that a lot of Nigerians believe that he did not play the federal character card
at all.
So a lot of juicy positions were, given to certain kind of people or certain group of people. So one task that the president-elect, Senate, what's his name now?
Bola Ahmed
Tinubu, I'm sorry about that. Bola Ahmed Tinubu will have to do will be to show his integrity in terms of giving certain positions. So we need that, federal character principle play out in terms of his positions or the positions he'll be giving,
Well, Bola Tinubu is one person that has continued to be lauded for his ability to spot talent, and we do hope that he does that, as president of the Federal Republic, where he spreads his tentacles to get the best hands across the nation to occupy different positions and get the work done. Let's not see a particular
leaning. They've called him the unifier. So we hope to see that happen. That's going to be his first assignment, to show Nigerians that he's actually the unifier and he wants to bring everybody together on board, to make the country better.
It's important at this time. We do not need anything that further degenerates the country that we have. Like we always say, we have just one Nigeria. But then just, going back to the fact that these National Assembly members have received their certificate of return, and everybody's beginning to buckle their belt for work, which will start in a couple more months. It should be a great congratulations to each and every one of them, especially to the newest guys, the newest kids on the block of the National Assembly. We do hope that, they take the assignment very seriously and let the representation be good for, everyone who trusted them with the vote. And even some people who just slid in there because some people went to the polls and just voted a particular party across. Let's see how you bring that benevolence to really good credence. I mean, this is what we're talking about. After this first 4 years, you will need to be re-elected. That is going to depend a lot on what you do in this first sitting, and I hope that a lot of people have advised themselves. For the parties that had 2-1, how much you do also would open or close the door for more people to be elected on your party's platform.
Yeah, definitely that. But let's just look at our very next story. I think the APC in Akwa Ibom State will be heaving a sigh of relief as they now have a gubernatorial candidate that will be flying the flag for them during the March 11 gubernatorial election, and that is the person of Akan Umo Udofia. Now, a lot of shenanigans, a lot of brouhaha had happened in the course of the week. I know that there were a lot of people that went to Facebook and other platforms on social media and were dragging the APC in Akwa Ibom State and saying they do not even have a candidate because as at when this judgment was given yesterday, we do not even have Akanimo Dofia's name in the ballot. So how do we even expect him, to run the race for the gubernatorial seat of Akwa Ibom State? Many issues here.
Well, the Supreme Court on Tuesday actually dismissed the suit filed by Senator Itainang seeking to nullify the primary that produced Akanimo Odofia as the governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress in Akwa Ibom State. Now, the Apex Court also affirmed Udofia as the authentic governorship candidate of the APC in the state. Justice Kudirat Kekere Ekun upheld the decision of the Court of Appeal Abuja, which held that the Federal High Court in Uyo acted without jurisdiction when it nullified the APC primary, while it held the primary that produced Udofia as the governorship candidate. Now, Enang had prayed the court to declare him as the authentic governorship candidate of the party on the basis that Udofia was not a member of the APC when the party conducted the governorship primary on May 26, 2022. Now, after the Federal High Court in Uyo nullified Udofia as the APC governorship candidate for the state in November 2022, Udofia headed to the Court of Appeal in Abuja to challenge the judgment. Of course, we saw the appellate court on January 19 set aside the judgment of the lower court and restored him as the APC candidate. Of course, but that still remained hanging somewhere in the balance. People were not too sure if he was going to make it. But then the Federal High Court in Uyo, was said to have wrongly assumed jurisdiction to entertain the matter, contrary to sections 97 and 98 of the Sheriff's Act. Now, Senator Itainang, dissatisfied with the decision of the Court of Appeal, himself approached the Supreme Court to challenge the judgment. But then the Apex Court, however, dismissed Enang's suit on grounds that the trial court had no jurisdiction to question the validity of the waiver granted to Udofia to participate in the primaries, being an internal affair of the party. Yeah, you would remember that we've had this conversation time and time again, and the spokesperson for the APC, Akanimo Odofia and Akwa Ibom State, and Barrister Imo Akpan continued to say that the APC in Akwa Ibom State had actually granted Akanimo Odofia a waiver when he moved from the People's Democratic Party now to the APC. Yeah. The chieftains had actually come together and granted him a waiver, but then for some reason, internal party wranglings, Senator Itainang moved to the court. Something we really saw in this time was the fact that internal party affairs, a lot of people attempted to settle it in court, but it was also good to see that on several grounds we had the court actually live up to the expectation and return them back to these matters are to be internally handled by the parties, as it were. And this is one of the things that has played out in the case for Itainang versus Akanimo Odofia in court.
Yeah, definitely. So we're definitely going to be seeing Akanimo Odofia on the ballot. We are hoping also that INEC does that, by putting his name on the ballot. But another thing is, all of these court cases as well, won't it have a way of affecting his campaign, because he has not really
Little or
done a
nothing.
lot in terms of campaigning now. It's more like, oh, I really do not know where I stand in this case, so why would I be doing that vigorous campaigns, so will that not have an effect on him, during the ballots? But again, we just leave that conversation hanging for now. And of course, tomorrow we'll be having the spokesperson of Kanu Moldovia Campaign Council, Barrister Imo, join us to give more light to how this is going to be affecting their elections on the 11th of March 2023. We'll take a breather now, and when we come back, of course, we still have more. Don't forget, today is International Women's Day. We are celebrating women all over the world, but we'll also be bringing you daily spotlight when we come back. Let's join Mary Joseph, who's standing by for the news brief, and we'll be back shortly.
heads of government, Secretary General, distinguished delegates.
This was the Lagos, Nigeria today as we want to improve upon the lives of the county.
A very good morning to you and welcome to your morning news briefing Spectrum, live from Uyo. I am Mary Joseph. We begin the news brief this morning with the President Muhammadu Buhari, who has pledged his administration's commitment to ensuring equal opportunity for women in Nigeria. In a statement signed by the President's spokesperson, Femi Adesina, to mark the 2023 International Women's Day, Buhari acknowledged the invaluable role that women have played in advancing the progress of the country since independence, stressing that they have continued to deliver excellently at all odds. Away from that, with barely 83 days left in his administration, President Muhammadu Buhari will be conferred with the Democracy Icon Award by the Economic Community of West African States. The chairman of the regional bloc and president of Guinea-Bissau, Umaru Embalo, revealed this at a bilateral meeting with Buhari on the sidelines of the ongoing United Nations Conference on Least Developed Countries in Doha, Qatar. Away from that, the wife of the Chinese ambassador to Nigeria, Lang Huli, said women's participation in various sectors in Nigeria will yield more achievements geared towards developing the country. She made this known when she had a speech titled Briefing on Development on Women's Cause in China in commemoration of the International Women's Day. She noted that the bilateral relationship between Nigeria and China was threatened by women's participation for both countries. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has said that information in the bimodal voter accreditation system used for February 25 presidential poll is intact. The Electoral Commission-led counsel, Taminu Inuwa, gave the assurance at the Court of Appeal in Abuja while opposing the applications filed by the Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi on beavers deployed in the presidential poll. Heading now to the foreign scene, where protesters have clashed with police in Georgia capital, Tbilisi, after Parliament backed a controversial draft law which critics say limits press freedom and suppresses civil society. Riot police used water cannon and pepper spray to disperse the crowds outside the Parliament building. Some protesters were seen falling on the ground and coughing, while others waved EU and Georgian flags. We head now to sports, where Chelsea have kept their season alive by beating Borussia Dortmund 2-0 at Stamford Bridge to progress to the quarter-final of the Champions League 2-1 on aggregate. Raheem Sterling and Kai Havertz, with a twice-taken penalty, got the goals at the Blues revealed, and also the pressure on the manager, Graham Potter. We'll have details of the stories and more in our news at 12. I am Mary Joseph. Let's head back to Rise and Shine, where we have Janice and Uyai on standby. Do have a wonderful morning.
Heads of government, Secretary General, distinguished delegates.
This was the Lagos, Nigeria today as we want to improve upon the lives of the county.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
One truth not often told is about the transformation that Africa has undergone in recent decades. Africa is shaping its own destiny and should be referred to as the African opportunity. On Spotlight Africa, we paint the African picture the African way, laced with truth, detail, and the color of the African continent. Join Uyai Anyekan every Tuesday and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Spotlight Africa, telling the African story.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Rise and Shine, and we're coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. We just returned from the news brief desk where we had tidbits of global news brought to you by Mary Joseph. Before that, we saw the fact that INEC has granted certificate of return to members elected into the National Assembly. And of course, worthy of notice that there's a lot of newbies on the block on the National Assembly, and we expect that it's going to be a rise of new things at the National Assembly. We also saw the fact that the Supreme Court cleared the gubernatorial candidate of the APC here in Akwa Ibom State, Akanimo Udofia, and there is great hopes that he'll be standing at the polls come this Saturday. These and more are some of the things that we've had conversation about this morning. At this point, we've just moved to Daily Spotlight, where we bring you stories from the front page of our national dailies. Do stay with us.
Obviously, a plethora of information on the front pages of our national dailies this morning. We are starting this morning first with the Nigerian Tribune. Let's find out what the papers say. And of course, just to remind you that you can be a part of our conversation this morning. We are going to open up the phone lines just immediately we are done with the papers so Nigerians can have their say. Okay. On Nigerian Tribune this morning, we have the big story that says courts to rule today on INEC's request to reconfigure beavers. The writer says Labour Party PDP insists reconfiguration will tamper with evidence. Tinubu approaches courts for leave to obtain election materials. Fagbemi, 11 other sons to lead APC legal team. 38 sons to lead Obi's legal team. Quite a tussle.
Yeah.
Moving forward, tough times as tomato prices record 90% increase in 1 year. Not just tomatoes, now and every other food commodity in Nigeria is increasing. Drama as pro-Tinubu group CSO storm INEC. 51 APC, 27 PDP, 7 Labour Party senators. Others receive certificates of return. And the writer says INEC removes Dogua's name from reps elect list. Okay. Let's look at another story here. It says uncertainty as banks go different ways on old Naira notes. The writer says customers still flood banks. Alleged money laundering, court threatens to strike out Keyamu's suit against Atiku. I think that's just all we have on the front page of Nigerian Tribune today.
All right, moving on to the very next paper, we'll take The Nation this morning. Let's look at The Nation, and the big story there this morning says INEC reset of beavers a must for governorship poll. Court decides today on LP's legal battle with election agency. APC supporters march for democracy. Alake insists poll credible. Those stories can be found on pages 6 and 27. Transform Nigeria, NSCIA tells Tinubu, page 6, victory well deserved. Sanwo-Olu takes campaign to markets. Makinde engages clerics, canvasses peaceful polls, page 27 and page 26 respectively. Banks pay old Naira notes to customers. Traders reject old currencies. AGF mum over Supreme Court judgment. ECOWAS awards Buhari icon of democracy. INEC fires Sokoto wreck. Okay, that's the story you were giving us earlier.
Yeah.
Okay, we also have here Daniel Jimo Bamidele, 98 senators elect get certificate of return. Of course, we have further breakdown there with the names of who is who in the 10th Senate. Okay, this is really nice. We have Abia, we have Kali Oduzo, Kalu APC, Darlington Mokorcha LP, Abaribe, APGAP. So there's just a listing of names there. Really beautiful. Number of seats 101. APC took away 56. PDP 32. Labour Party 7. NNPP 2. SDP 2. APGA 1. YPP 1. And that's the total of 101. Of course, we have about 406 seats. We still have some elections to be rerun after the gubernatorial elections. This is good to see. Soldier charged with drug trafficking. Groups to INEC ignore PDP and Labour Party. Okay, that's everything we have here.
Okay, let's quickly run through the front page of this day newspaper now. The main story here says appeal cuts today on INEC's request to vary order permitting PDP Labour Party to inspect poll materials. And then we have the rider Tinubu 6 order to inspect election materials. PDP raises the alarm over alleged plan to erase, destroy evidence of rigging. Opposition parties insist reconfiguration of beavers will tamper with evidence. Okay, and then a story here says Chatham House, Nigeria's presidential election not conducted in line with INEC's guidelines. Okay, and the writer of that story says electoral body learnt no lesson. Pitch downgrades. I that's not quite feasible. Okay. Fitch downgrades Nigeria short-term social stability on Tinubu's weak mandate. Okay. Of course, if you want more details to that story, you can check this day. Polls. We are not in alliance with any political party, Labour Party declares. And the writer says Rivers chapter defies order, endorses PDP. National Working Committee dissolves state's executive. And we have pro-Atiku Tinubu group clash over poll results at INEC office. That's just all that we have on
Okay, we'll take Daily Sun next. And the very big story there says presidential election tribunal rules on beavers. Tinubu seeks nod to inspect materials. Why Kwankwaso didn't congratulate president-elect given there by NMTP, page 6 and page 30 is where you can find those stories. Coalition of CSOs protest demand INEC chairman sack. Okay, coalition of CSOs protest demands INEC chairman sack, page 26 and 6. PDP accuses commission of plot to destroy election results. EU's elated ever presidential candidate. Parties move to uphold rule of law. Page 6. Senate President's race. APC support group backs Kalu. Says he's most senior qualified senator in Southeast. Page 13. The Vigilant defend your votes. Enugu LP Guba candidate tells voters. Page 26. Guba elections. We are not in alliance with any party, says LP. 26. Dissolves Rivers Exco over endorsement of PDP gubernatorial candidate. Traders. Others reject old 500, 1,000 naira notes as banks resume acceptance and payment. 55% of Nigerian adolescent girls, women suffer anemia, says UNICEF. That story can be found on page 30. And that's all we have on the front page of Daily Sun.
Okay, so we'll take our very last paper for the morning, and that will be the Punch newspaper. The big story says fuel stations, others reject old naira and bank rations cash. The writer says accepting old 500, 1,000 will hamper business, say retailers, others. And CBN adamant refuses to direct banks to obey Apex Court's judgment. We also have a story here that says Lagos cannot get lion's share as LG shares 2 trillion naira. You can find that story on page 34. Fuel scarcity to linger till after elections, marketers. Of course, that story can be found on page 34 as well. And other stories here say aviation fuel hits 480. Airlines predict flight delays. Over 200 cyber attacks blocked during presidential poll, says federal government. Beavers data intact. INEC tells court and parties. I think that's just all. Okay, we have another story here that says Labour Party NMPP kick as police bar dogs from polling booths. Okay, so that's another angle to security during the polls there. But Oyo State go out on Saturday and vote. Makinde and PDP House of Assembly candidates. That's just all the stories that we have on our national dailies this morning. But we are going to also open up the phone lines for Nigerians to have their different reactions as it concerns the papers this morning. There's just a lot of calls for the resignation of Mahmood Yakubu, the INEC boss. But before we open up the phone lines, let's just take a very short breather and we'll be back shortly. But the phone lines will be open for you to be able to call us and give us your contribution and your opinion as it concerns all of the headlines that we have read out this morning. Just stay with us.
Welcome back. Of course, it's still Rise and Shine, and we are handling a lot of issues here. Having just returned from looking at the front pages of our national dailies, a lot of issues rising, several groups calling for the sack of Professor Mahmood Yakubu, who is the chairman of INEC, a lot of push for him to be taken off that position. But I think another issue, that would love, Nigerians to contribute about, apart from the sack of the INEC chair, is the fact that the tussle between CBN, commercial banks, should we take the money, shouldn't we take the money? Why is there just inconsistency with all of this? It's still further putting Nigerians in a really tight position. We saw one of the directors at CBN say, yes, we have noted that commercial banks have started paying, some commercial banks have started paying the old Naira in tandem with the new Naira, but we're seeing that even citizens are not taking this money. So it's still further driving, difficulty in the system at this time.
Yes, yesterday I was really angry with the whole system and even with society and even with the Central Bank of Nigeria. How can I be withdrawing 5,000 Naira from a POS machine?
And all of them are old notes.
And I'm not even old notes now. And I'm paying extra 2,000 Naira as charges. So I have to buy money with money in the same country that we are living in. It doesn't make sense at all. So I think that Nigerians should give their reaction to these issues, concerning the money recirculation. We've heard the Supreme Court say, look, let's push this to December 31.
Yes.
And how many days after? We've not heard any directive from Central Bank. We've not heard the president come out to say anything. And so we are just suffering. People are suffering. Nigerians are suffering. It's not easy for people to even get food to eat. We say, oh, let's go on a cashless policy. I remember the long, text message that was sent to us from Maiduguri yesterday, saying that we even have what it takes for us to, operate that cashless society. But the structures that have been put are those things that are even causing the stumbling block for us. Corruption is not allowing us to do the right things at the right time. So what do we do? The market woman tells you, oh, I don't have a bank. I don't have a phone that does, banking apps and all of that. No, now a lot of people do not even understand how these things work. And you're saying let's go on a cashless policy. How does the woman in the rural area that believes that, oh, I have a colo box somewhere or a piggy bank somewhere that I put my money into, why don't I just go there where my money is easily accessible? And you're telling her that, oh, she has to punch buttons for her to be able to make transfers and not necessarily use cash.
Not forgetting that some of those communities at this time do not have network coverage. They do. Yes, a lot of communities do not have network coverage. So even if you say they'll use USSD codes, they do not have. So we are not. Although our viewer from Medjugorje said there are certain structures on ground that could even help us go afloat, but let's also be realistic. We have not covered certain rural areas with even the infrastructure, the internet infrastructure. So there's just a lot of problems, and we don't know why. We cannot explain why CBN remains defiant to the words of the Supreme Court at this time, or even the president. We haven't heard any word. But I think okay, we have a call. Let's just take this particular one. Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from? Okay, we lost it.
Call. Please do well to call us. Numbers on your screen, or you
send us
find
WhatsApp
it difficult.
Yeah,
send us WhatsApp messages or even text messages. We'll get to read them on set.
Yeah, I think another problem is the fact that some commercial banks are paying this old currency, because had it been you go to the bank and they are not paying, you will know that we are still restricted to just the old, to the new Naira. But then you go to the bank is paying you old notes. What exactly are you going to do with them? You get old notes from the bank, go to have transactions with traders or business persons, and they are not receiving. It's a vicious circle, and it's difficult for Nigerians at this time.
Yeah, very, very difficult. And we're wondering what government wants us to do at this point in time. So I begin to understand how people would just get so frustrated and pushed to the wall, and they decide to begin to destroy banking facilities and the rest of things like that, because we have been pushed actually, and it doesn't make any sense. Hello, let's take this call. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, we can hear you. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
Yes, good morning. It's Raymond calling from Benue State.
Raymond from Benue State. Good morning, Raymond. Just go ahead with your contributions. Okay, so that was a dropped call. We hope that Raymond gets the call back. Obviously, Nigerians have the space right now to be able to make their contributions. Okay, we have another call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, ma'am.
Please, can you turn down the volume of your television set because we're hearing ourselves?
All right. Can you hear me now? Good morning.
Yes, we can hear you. Good morning.
Happy International Women's Day.
Happy International Women's Day to you too.
Okay. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
I am Favor calling from Nasarawa State.
Okay, Favor from Nasarawa. Please go ahead.
Yes. All right. Concerning the new currency, honestly, this thing is not working out at all. I went to bank to withdraw ordinary 5,000 naira. They are charging me 1,500 additional 1,500 for me to collect 5,000 naira. They say we should use the USSD code or any bank transfer to make our withdrawals or make transaction in the market. You go to the market, you want to make the transfer, there is no network. And a lot of the women refuse to collect the transfer, that they doesn't accept transfer. This thing is too hard for us.
All right, thank you so much, Favor. I hope that the government will listen and do something very drastic to make sure that they cushion the effect of how this is affecting us in the country. But do well to give us a call. Thank you so much, Favor. Do well to give us a call wherever you're watching us from. Let's know your thoughts concerning this particular issue. It's been so long, you know, Nigerians have been going through this. We have another call now. Let's take that.
Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from? Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Good morning. What's your name, please, and where are you calling us from? Okay, so maybe we just have to drop that call because we can't, you know, get access to the caller. But please do well to call us if you have an opinion to give or you have a contribution to make to the conversations. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
My name is Bright Chidade Sylvanus. I'm calling from Imo State.
Okay, so Bright, please help us to put down the volume of your television set. We're hearing ourselves and it doesn't help us at all. Okay, so off
that's
Bright
a lot
went.
of drop calls this morning.
Obviously, maybe the network is
yeah,
glitching or something.
We're still talking about network here.
Yeah.
All right, hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Tony Eze. I'm calling from Benue State.
Good morning, Tony Eze.
Tony Eze, okay, our regular. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, we talk of Yakubu resigning.
I
think that is not what we want now.
Okay.
The matter is in the court. Let us see whether he's innocent or not innocent before we are talking, before we start agitating of him resigning. And for the money issue, I don't know what President Buhari and Godwin Emefiele would achieve in this. See, my sister, as you people are in you may not understand.
We understand. We understand, sir. I withdrew 5,000 yesterday with an extra 2,000 naira as charges, so I understand.
Just leave that to you. Go down to in Tidal village. Go down to village and see how people is suffering. There is some places that from morning till night there is nothing to eat. I don't know what our president and then governor of central bank want to achieve at the end of this very issue. You put money in the bank, you don't have real access of your money. They're talking about transfer. Okay, you say 5,000, you buy it. You have 5,000, then they give you 3,000, which means the money you have in the bank is being devalued.
Exactly.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what both of them want to achieve at the ending of this thing. The one thing I know, there is nobody that have suffered Nigeria in the past, no leader that have suffered Nigeria in the past that go free. If he didn't receive it, his children will receive it.
That's quite deep. Thank you so much, Tony Eze.
Tony Eze.
I think I like the fact that, you know, saying Mahmoud Yakubu should resign is not what we want at this time. Let's go to court. Let's find out if he conducted a credible and fair election before we even begin to demand for his neck on the chalkboard. But let's take another call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
My name is Peace from Awanchi.
Your name is what?
Peace from Awanchi.
All right, Peace. Where are you calling us from?
From Awanchi.
Ouchie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please go ahead. All right.
Telling the next chairman to resign will not solve the problem. Nigeria government has failed us. What they will do is that anybody that is coming to government should not be swelling by the Bible. They should go and swear by Ilala. By the time they swear by Ilala, they will do the real thing and the right thing. That is just the simple truth. If they swear by Ilala, they will never change. They are the one that make the boys to go into Yahoo, forgery, silly. They have made the boys to go wide. No youth want to go to school again. When you go to the street, the whole boys are in the street, splitting their head, putting on pants. Is that how it's supposed to be? Nigeria government have failed. Honorary election in Nigeria now, they use 3 days to another election, trying to do Mago. Everything is fraud in Nigeria. There's no simple truth. When you go to church, nowhere you can see truth in Nigeria again.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Peace from Ouchie.
From Ouchie. That was quite deep.
Hilarious at the same time.
Very, very hilarious. Okay, another call now. Let's take this one and find out who is. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Please, can you turn down the volume of the television? Thank you. Thank you so much. Now go ahead. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Aquarium. My name is Emmanuel.
Emmanuel from Aquarium. Okay, go ahead, Emmanuel.
Okay, please, we don't need this old Naira note. Let the federal government give us a new Naira note because they have already taken the old Naira note from us. No need for them to give us again.
Okay, but it's the Supreme Court that has asked that Nigerians can continue to use the old and the new Naira together. So what would you do if they pump back the money to the system? Wouldn't you use it?
Oh, well, let us hear from President and the CBN governor.
All right. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Thank you for your call and your contribution as well. I think some people will actually go with the sentiments of Emmanuel. If the Central Bank of Nigeria said they are giving a new Naira policy and redesign, then make the new Naira now
available instead of trying to come back.
Instead of coming back to say, okay, we can begin to use the old notes, make the new Naira available, and then people will not even be saying, let's go back to using the old notes. After all, you said you wanted to redesign after 20 years.
And initially, Governor Emefiele had said, we have printed enough, new Naira to go around. Why are we not seeing it?
Exactly.
I don't know why we don't ask questions in this country. Let's take this last call now. Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello, my name is Salani.
Okay, we are not going to be talking to you until you turn down the volume of your television set. It's so much noise back here, please. Okay, so I think that's basically the last call we'll take for this morning. But Nigerians are expressing their concerns regarding some of these issues, the money issue and the demand for the neck of INEC boss Mahmoud Yakubu. Before even the gubernatorial elections, Nigerians are asking, will he actually give us a credible, fair and free elections?
I think that's one of the reasons why people are asking for him to be sacked.
Of course, yes.
So even if we don't sack him,
not
we
even
just say
sack.
step aside from
step aside, resign honorably, and allow somebody else to take up that position and maybe do Nigerians good by conducting a free, fair and credible election. But I would also say that
we have another person.
I would also say that this particular administration will be wounding up with different stories and very sour taste in the mouths of a lot of Nigerians.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's just a lot to consume. Yeah, let's take a breather, and when we come back, do not forget today is International Women's Day, and we're celebrating that on set after this time out, where we will be joined by our guests. To stay with us and don't move a muscle.
which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
One truth not often told is about the transformation that Africa has undergone in recent decades. Africa is shaping its own destiny and should be referred to as the African opportunity. On Spotlight Africa, we paint the African picture the African way, laced with truth, detail, and the color of the African continent. Join Uyai Anyekan every Tuesday and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Spotlight Africa, telling the African story.
A warm welcome again on set. Of course, we've had several conversations traversing the whole of Nigeria and talking about major issues that are happening and many issues that have gotten Nigerians talking. But right about now, today, 8th of March, has been celebrated the world over as International Women's Day. And so today we are going to be giving equity a huge embrace and a huge hug as well. But joining us on set this morning to talk about some of the major things affecting women in society, and also joining us to celebrate International Women's Day is Samuel Ibekwe, who is the Regional Manager, Southern Operations, Marriage Stops. Many thanks for joining us this morning.
Congratulations to Akwa Ibom women. Congratulations to the three beautiful ladies here with me. And congratulations to all African women who are beautiful. Congratulations to all the world women on their day.
Oh, fantastic.
Thank you.
It's always beautiful to see a man celebrate women like this.
I was born by a woman.
Yeah, but before
I'm
we
married
continue,
to a woman.
Okay,
and I
let
have
me
two
introduce
daughters.
our next guest. Oh, Mr. Bekwe. Okay, so our very next guest is also a woman. Of course, we're celebrating women this morning. Ogwamaka Aginam, Regional Communication Marketing Advisor, Baristos. Many thanks for joining us. Good morning and happy International Women's Day.
Thank you. I wish all the women in the world, in Akwa Ibom State, happy International Women's Day.
Fantastic.
Today is our day.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, International Women's Day 2023. Of course, this is something celebrated year on year, set aside by the United Nations and other international bodies to celebrate women. And today is no different. And today we are talking about reproductive choices and equity. Mr. Becker was asking us to embrace, equity wholly. And then we're talking reproductive choices. But I know.
And yeah, before you even go forward, the last time Mr. Bekwe was here, we were talking about what
contraceptive. That was World Contraceptive Day.
We were talking about contraceptive, and it was beautiful to see a man talk about contraceptive. And today he's here again to talk about women and, of course, our reproductive choices and equity.
So let's even just piggyback on that. What does today mean for the women overall in the world?
Okay, so internationally, today is established to celebrate women, to celebrate you, to celebrate all the three of you here, all your achievements in various spheres of life, your achievement in broadcasting, your achievement in every industry that you can think of, your achievement in Maristos. And let me even say that the name Maristos is the name of a female doctor who started the issue of pushing contraceptive to the front burner in the United Kingdom. And so in even saying Maristos, we are celebrating a woman. Now, so International Women's Day is established to celebrate women, and it's over a decade, 100 years now, and still running, to celebrate the achievement of women in every aspect of life. There is no gainsaying the fact that women are marginalized, women are subjugated, women are seen as objects to be seen but not heard in most cultures, in most climes, in most settings. However, over the years, there have been movements, activities, and actions to make sure that these stereotypes, practices are no longer sustained, and women move up, come into the front space, be seen as well as be heard. And that is why a day like this is set up to celebrate such women who have done so, and then to bring focus to the plight of women where we've not had breakthrough in bringing them to the limelight.
Okay, let's even look at the theme for this year, Embrace Equity. Why do we have this theme, and why are we even talking about equity here, and more like equality as well? Let me talk to you, ma'am.
We are looking at equity because most times what we normally hear is equality. But I think equity gives rise to equality. And we need to look at women because we have different backgrounds, we have different orientations, we have different supporting structure within our homes, within our workplace, within the country, within our states. So equity is more like making a fair treatment, just treatment to all women, irrespective of race, irrespective of background. So let's go further into this equity. For example, in your home, you may have female children. How do you balance your female children with the male folk at home? You know, in our mindset, most parents find it difficult giving equal opportunity to both gender. It's not that it's a conscious thing they want doing, but within them is inbuilt. This is a man, this is a female, or this is a male, this is a female, this is a boy, this is a girl. You are not supposed to do this, you are not supposed to do that. For the male, you are not supposed to wash, you are not supposed to cook, stuff like that. So such stereotypes affect the way women are built up in the society.
Women are quite wonderful in all their endeavors, but the system doesn't, support them fully to showcase what they have. Let's go again. Some families will build their children, female children, to even compete with the men in terms of career, say engineering, for example. But you find out at the end of the day, that woman that have gone to school to read engineering may not even practice it because of her reproductive issues. She may be within the reproductive age, and that will make her not to practice even her profession. She may decide to look at something less, let me not use the word stressful, less cumbersome. Somebody that must have read, say, engineering, at the end of the day may drop it and go into fashion designing, cosmetology, something at her comfort zone in the house, you can operate it effectively. So you find out these are the challenges. And in terms of equity, we are not looking at just treat everybody. Consider the background of individuals. There are people with disability, for example. You cannot, if we are looking at equality, you can say, okay, we want to empower people. Let's give them bicycle, for example. If you give everybody bicycle to ride, have you considered an individual with disability? How will the person ride that same bicycle? So you need to come up with a concept of a bicycle that will suit somebody with disability.
So,
that's
can we even say that we can achieve equity, in Nigeria? This is not the first time we've been talking about International Women's Day. This is not the first time we've been crying out loud concerning issues and challenges that are facing women in society. So if we have all chanted equality, and we've seen 35% affirmative, it's 35% affirmative actions. Even when we look at, this last elections, how many women even came out for the elections? So can we achieve that thing called equity for women in Nigeria?
Yes, it is achievable. Recall that the push started from equality, give everybody fair chance to play. But now there is a paradigm shift to equity. So it means that the more we talk about it, the more the consciousness exists in us and the more action takes place. So now we have shifted from talking about equality to talking about equity. I am positively inclined that there shall be a time when there will be equitable distribution, allocation, recognition of all persons, both male and female, based on their circumstances and background. It is a process. It is not a project. It's a process that we continue to travel on. We've gained momentum in this. Prior now, what would have happened is have maybe 3 men and 1 woman sit in this panel to have this conversation. But you can see now we have 3 women and 1 man sit down to have this conversation. And when you look at also globally, people who are championing the cause of women, you see that men are more championing the cause of women, more than even women are championing the cause of women themselves. So the consciousness is there, the awareness is there, it is increasing, it will continue to increase. In most organizations now, you see a situation that you come into the organization, you have a space set aside for a nursing mother to stay. Some organizations have flexible maternity policies that allow a woman, even after 3 months of maternity leave, to also come to work from 8 o'clock to 12 or to 2 p.m. and go home. But prior now, this has not been happening. So the consciousness is there, the awareness is there, and things are happening to make sure that the gaps are closed. Okay. But we are not there yet.
Okay. So when we're still talking about reproductive choices and equity, let's still lean on equity just a bit before we go to the reproductive side of the conversation. When we look at countries like Afghanistan and we look at countries like Iran, even in recent weeks, there's been a lot of issues against the females. We are having, I think 2 or 3 days back, we had like a mass poisoning of females in schools. And we have a lot of policies and things continue to be done against the female gender in some countries. Now, like he said, there are people championing conversations for women in these areas to be emancipated from the oppression that they are facing. Although we have some progress in some other parts of the world. What do you say about the likes of these Asian countries that we are not, seeing any forward movement with these kinds of conversations?
So you see, it is like some sections of the world are taking leaps ahead, while some other sections of the world are drawing the world backwards. Like you just cited Afghanistan, India, where some set of, in Afghanistan, the Taliban rule and law is restricting women from
even
going
education,
to school.
yes.
In Saudi Arabia, women just got their license
Driving
or approval
license, yeah.
to start driving a car recently. But you know that it has been age long when they were restricted from doing that. But advocacy actions, interventions continued until Saudi Arabia accepted and liberated. So I am positive minded that in a country like Afghanistan, or let me class all of them as the Asian countries that have their cultural stereotypes that bring women and subjugate women, as the rest of the world keeps moving, they will remain a pariah. They will somehow be forced, their hands bent, to start also tilting towards where others are tilting. If you look at the international scene, you notice in India also, protests are taking place to protest against subjugation of women, protest against the wearing of hijab, covering all over. These protests, even when such governments are trying to repress them, they are making statements. Their athletes in the world are making statements. Some of the female athletes have to do mountain climbing without wearing their hijab. They are making very bold statements. And with time, the more this talk comes from this side, the sound comes from this side, the sound comes from this side, there will be much energy into it. And the ones who are not inclined towards caving in will eventually cave in.
Okay, let's even talk about the fact that, I like the fact that you say these days more men are even advocating for the women more than the women are advocating. And we know that there are cultural values and traditional values that tend to want to, gag a woman in the typical African society. Now, how do we even begin to empower these women, to come out and seek for equity?
So this is where organizations like Maristopes come in. In our activities, in our community activities, which are more of grassroots based, we continue to sensitize and help women to understand you have a right. When it comes to sexual reproductive health, you have a right. You are not just a baby-making machine. You were not just conditioned by our Creator to only stay there and churn out children as if you are a cash machine that churns out cash. You have a right to say, yes, I am made to carry the baby. I'm made to give birth to the baby. I'm made to also breastfeed the baby. Yet, I also have another life. I can pursue education. I can pursue a career. I can also be a professional in one thing or the other, in addition to this natural responsibility of procreation. My ability to procreate should not be a limiting factor. Instead, should even be an enhancement on my person.
But how possible is that in today's society, where you have, when once the child is born, it's the responsibility of the mother to cater for that child, or if you're complaining too much, then go get a house help. The husband is usually not there.
Okay, so there are changes. Like people in the field that we are, we see situations where women on their own come to our platforms to say, I don't want to continue having children again. Give me a contraceptive. We've seen situations where women come with even their own daughters and say, I need contraceptive for my daughter. And the daughter consents to say, I want to take up contraceptive. We've also seen situations where husbands come with their wives, and the husband will be the one to say, nurse, doctor, I am tired. I don't want to continue having children. Please give contraceptive to my wife. Situations like this abound every day out there in the field. And why are these happening? Because the sensitization, the awareness is increasing. Although we are not there yet, there are still situations where in some rural communities you see a young wife who has 4 children come out to say, I want to accept contraceptive, and the mother-in-law will chase after her to the facility and grab her and take her back home.
Or the husband beats her up.
Or the husband beats her up. So situations like this still happen. And that is why we continue to advocate to traditional rulers, telling them, you have a voice, you are a stakeholder. So in your palace, your wife is the wife of a paramount ruler. Talk to women, advocate for women's rights, advocate for people to go for sexual reproductive health services. And these are happening.
Okay. So just to lean a little back on reproductive choices, ma'am, because when we say choices, it connotes the fact that we can decide whether or not we want to reproduce, whether we want to procreate or not. Now, so when you're looking at reproductive choices and equity, what's the balance there? Because we also have a lot of women begin to push the conversations that, you know, reproduction is getting in the way of them having their lives. I was privy to some documentary a couple of days back, and I had a myriad of women regret that they had to give birth to children that has gotten in the way of their careers or their life and all the likes. So what is the balance that we are looking at in terms of reproductive choices?
And let me just add this, and is it even in the place of the woman to choose whether she wants to reproduce or not? Does she have such rights?
Okay, so choice guarantees equity. Choice.
Let her say something, please. Go ahead.
Okay, like following what he said, choice guarantees equity. And for us in an organization, we believe in this law that have children by choice, not chance. Have children by choice, not chance. That's our mission statement. And as we move into these communities, we sensitize women on their body, their choice, and their future. Because you need to, you own your body. It is your choice to decide on any method of family planning or contraceptive you want to take. It's also built in your future. Because if you make a wrong choice, definitely it will mar your future.
Okay, so just quickly answer Uya's question before I give a follow-up question on what you just said.
So during our sensitization, we try as much as we can to balance all this. And for us as an organization, we also have options that speak to equity. In Akwa Ibom, for example, we are working using 3 channels that suit all categories of women in Akwa Ibom. We have our PSS channel, whereby any woman, whether rich or poor, can access family planning services in those facilities. We have the outreach that is primarily targeting the poor. So in terms of equity, we find a way that for us as an organization, we prioritize into that, and we deploy that using our channel to reach out to our women in their different sector, in their different locations here in Akwa Ibom State and other places in country where Reproductive is operating.
Okay, I think the follow-up question I actually wanted to ask, your choice equity, right?
Yeah.
I've had a situation of a family that the man says, I want 2 children. And the woman has a choice to get pregnant again without, you know, necessarily letting the man know I want to get pregnant. And that child comes, that pregnancy comes, and the man tells her, oh, that's your own to take care of. I'm not going to take care of that child because I told you I wanted 2 children. So how now do we now say that, oh, reproductive rights, women should have reproductive rights?
Okay, so the man there failed in his duty to back up his decision with action. He made a decision, I don't want another child. But he is the one, believedly, since they are in a union, he is the one, believedly, who had a relationship with the wife, resulting in the pregnancy. And he ought to have known that every sexual relationship with a partner with the opposite sex could either result in pregnancy.
Mr. Baker, we know how women do these things.
Okay,
talk to me here now.
The man
we
would
know
have
how
taken a
women do these
contraceptive.
things.
So this is where equity comes in now.
The woman can lie because she wants to have a baby.
In everything about sexual reproductive health commodities, equity is guaranteed through a lot of choice available. There are various methods for contraception, both for male and for female. So the man that says, I don't want another child, instead of expecting just the lady alone to go for contraceptive, should on his own take up a contraceptive that will make him...
episiotomy.
Vasectomy.
Vasectomy now.
Aside vasectomy, there is condom.
You can use condom.
Okay.
Which is very commonly available.
But there are a lot of married people who believe that it's just uncomfortable as a married couple to use.
But he should have been conscious that not using a contraceptive by him would result in pregnancy for a wife who he has already known had disposition towards having another child.
In a society where men believe that the women should know what to do not to get pregnant.
Well, men also know, I'm a man now, I know what to do in order not to impregnate a woman.
Okay, so Uguamaka, please.
So for me, in that scenario, there's no agreement between the two. Yeah, because for family planning to work is an agreement between couples or individuals, or the number of children they want to give birth to and the interval. So you find out that the man desire not to have, whereas the woman still wants to. So they didn't even agree on what they want from onset. So situation like that, the man, since he doesn't want, should have protected himself.
Yes.
He insisted on protecting himself so that the woman will not get pregnant.
Yes. So he failed. He is the one that failed, not the woman.
Failed the process.
So it's the failure of the man.
It's the failure of the man at that point. Okay. And so he should accept his responsibility because he is the one that made the child to come out. So he should accept the responsibility and not abdicate it to the woman as a way of punishment to the woman. Since you are the one that wanted it, take it. But she didn't go outside to get it.
I've seen also a case where people during courtship, you know, they just discussed. The man said, "I want to give birth to 2 children." The woman said no, that she can't give birth to just 2 children. She wants 5. And at the end of the day, that marriage did not hold. Because,
because of the differences in reproductive choices is what we're talking about here. Okay, so let's also come down again to the African setting. A lot of things don't work for us, especially like we are not so much of a progressive society. We know that it is changing in certain climes, but some climes it is not changing. I think a couple of months back we had a country now, I think it was even Nigeria, that assented to paternity leave for men to be able to, be part of the whole system of reproduction. But let's not forget the fact that in Africa, we still have a lot of systems biting that mitigates, women being able to push forward. In Uganda, if I get that right, 2 weeks ago, we had a woman that was embarrassed in parliament because she was on her monthly menstrual flow. And that has been a major issue. That's still part of reproduction. Managing your, menstrual cycle, reproductive changes while you're trying to push a career. So let's talk about balancing in workplace, in the workplace environments and the women that you have on your team. And we had, there's a country that has also pushed for every month, every woman on the team is given
a free pass?
Yeah, a free pass. No, not even parts. Now we are looking at, what do we call it? Leave. For the days that you're going to be on your period.
Yes. I think
so let's talk. Yeah, let's talk. Yeah, I think it's France. So let's talk about workplace balancing for women, as we are looking at equity.
Okay.
Now let me even add, having all the cramps and
very uncomfortable weeks in the month,
running stomach during this period, and all of that, and you have to come to work.
So we are saying that an organization or organizations should have flexible human resources policies which favor the female folk, looking at their circumstances and background, and that is still where the equity of a thing comes in. You know that equality is talking about give everybody a fair chance, the same thing, the same level playing ground, give it to everybody. But it does not take into consideration the background and circumstances of everybody. And that is what equity takes care of. And so when policies are made bearing equity in mind, these circumstances of women will be put into consideration. And so policies will come out, human resources policies will come out, which will put women's situations into consideration in order to also help them compete favorably or perform favorably, optimally at the workplace. The reality is that it is happening. Paternity leaves are coming in, extended maternity leave coming in some organizations, even recognition of menstrual period cramp day off or time off. All of these are coming in. But we are not there yet, and we will continue. Programs like this, days like today, awareness creation, we continue to hasten it and bring the agenda to the front burner. I may now like to suggest also that the female folks should on their own also deepen conversation and understanding about themselves in order to help, as men are pushing their agenda, they equally push their own agenda, and it is well accepted. In the Uganda parliament that you mentioned, I would like to be proved wrong if it is not a woman who embarrassed her fellow woman in the parliament. The speaker had to even be confused as to, is it a fellow woman that is doing point? Why not this fellow female parliamentarian? Take this parliamentarian out and they discuss, and we don't even get to hear about it. So in some times and circumstances, women tend to be the problem of women.
Okay, I think...
yeah, she wanted to...
Yeah, please add something.
Organizations now, you find out that women are joining greatly in the senior management team. And such opportunity gives, rise in discussing issues that affect women. I know in some organizations, like our organization, for example, some of these issues are now being put into consideration. You have line manager you work with, you report to. So if you have issues like this, maybe painful menstrual cramps, you can as well talk to your line manager. They can ask you to work from home. It's allowed.
But let's even talk about the issue of, there was a time the mantra came out and it was everywhere: women helping women.
Women supporting women.
Women supporting women. You know, women supporting women, is it really happening? Do we have women support women, or we have women that constantly are pulling the other people down?
Both are happening. However, the other side of it, which is women supporting women, seems to be higher than women pulling women down.
I
in present day reality,
because even in politics, you find men coming out, you find women coming out. They tell you the women will always go to vote for the men, and I say
presidents. It's not that we can't support, but it's because of the stereotype, thinking that this leadership role is meant for men. So that's the problem.
I like the fact that you brought about stereotypes now. How do we begin to break these stereotypes? We keep talking about it. Let's break the bias. Let's break the stereotype every other day. How do we begin to break the stereotypes?
It is in practice. An organization like ours, for instance, now, I could have been sent along with somebody else that is a male, but consciously, the organization says it should be male and female. Consciously, our organization says leadership roles should not be only occupied by male alone. Most of the adverts for vacancies you see, you will see a statement that boldly will say females are encouraged to apply. And in the panel, you will not only have male members dominating the panel, you will have females present in the panel. And talking about sexual reproductive health services and equity, we have avenues where every woman, whether you are poor, whether you are living in the rurals across the river, whether you are in the metropolis, based on your economic power, your education power, there is a contraceptive affordable for you. That is equity.
Okay. All right. So I think these are, great conversations we've been able to have today. But I think one of the things that we should take as a take home, because we keep having conversations about women, International Women's Day, we should get to a point where the women can actually watch out for themselves. And like you said, push conversations in organizations that will balance out equity for women, as it were. All right. I want to say a really big thank you to you, Mr. Ibekwe, for coming on the show today and having this conversation in honor of the International Women's Day. And we also want to say a very big thank you to you, ma'am, for coming on the show today. It's been a great time, full of passion hearing you talk about today. We do hope that we can get enough hugs that will go around for women in the world.
Yeah, definitely. I think we need to give equity a huge embrace. Yes.
Okay.
Giving equity a very huge...
Even when I feel marginalized.
Please, can we take pictures? Equity.
Who's marginalized?
I feel very marginalized.
Why?
The embrace is just not equitably
distributed.
But all the same,
it's equitably distributed.
Let me manage I manage the one I get.
So this is Happy International Women's Day to all women, strong women out there, and of course women that are doing everything possible to continue to break the stereotype and make their voices heard. Women that are charting good causes for other women and women that are also supporting their fellow women as well. And many thanks too for men advocates. We cannot leave that aside. Men advocate like Mr. Ibekwe, that is making sure that women stand their grounds, women have that equal opportunity, and women have equity as well. My name is Janice Cobham. It's been a wonderful time on set this morning. Thank you to all those that called in for the different segments that we had. Nigerians that are always lending their voices on this particular show. We really do appreciate you, and we'll definitely see you again tomorrow.
Thank you so much to everyone who was a part of the show today. We had great time on set today. My name is Uyai Anekan, and it is great for us to be celebrating the women all about the world. Of course, from Spectrum Television and from Rise and Shine, we say Happy International Women's Day. Do have a great day wherever you are. Thank you.